My name's Amata, and in this Red Gaming Tech video I'm here with the latest from the gaming and the tech world in the last 24 or so hours. So what do I have for you today, my friends? Well, we're going to kick things off with a statement from the ESA on loot boxes, then something from Apple who have rejected the Steam Link iOS app. Then we're going to move over to a SuperData report who have published their reports for digital games for the month of April. Then we're going to finish things up with Google, who might have a Kaby Lake G Chromebook in store for us. So let's start things off with the ESA. Now, of course, I've been talking a lot, and I do mean a lot, about loot boxes over the last month or so. Of course, Belgium have been going pretty hard against them, ruling that they're gambling and their current gambling laws and so on and so forth. Of course, we've got other countries and states looking into them. And now we have a statement from Mike Gallagher, who is the president of the Entertainment Software Association. Now, he made these comments during the Nordic Game Conference, and this report comes to us thanks to Games Industry. So, of course, I will link them in the description below this video. Now, you may recall that some time ago I discussed how the ESA have ruled that the loot box system currently in place in most games is not considered gambling. And then he actually has expanded on that now rather controversial stance, and he said, quote, "In the US, loot boxes are not gambling for more than the reason I put here. The other one is not converted to value in the real world. It can only exist in the digital world. That's the component that many of these definitions look at. There's not an exit path to turn that into something outside of the game. We have both of these reasons present predominantly for loot boxes and in-game transactions around this industry. So going to the one or two isolated overreactions, seeing how those overreactions play to one or two governments and then making that the standard and doing that industry wide, that's not going to be productive for industry or for gamers. Let's inform first, continue to self-regulate and move ahead that way. It's worked great for us over the last 20 years, that's the prescription we should use going forward. There are additional things we can do and we'll look at those over the course of time, but it's only been since April that we've implemented the change. We should give it a chance and see how it plays out." Now, it's unsurprising that I vehemently disagree with him, to be honest. Like, your brain does not know the difference between I can turn this into real money and I can't. It's still hitting the same points in your brain as it does to press the shiny button on the fruit machine as it does to, you know, open an Overwatch loot box or whatever. You know, I'm not calling out Overwatch specifically. It's just my always go-to example because obviously it's one of those popular games in the history of ever and obviously uses loot boxes. But the point is, it's hitting those same points in your brain when you open a loot box. You know, your brain does not know the difference between the two, and it still can hit those same addictive points, as I keep saying. So I disagree, and obviously the Dutch and Belgian governments are kind of agreeing with me here. Of course, there have been several attempts by the state representative of Hawaii, Chris Lee, to propose laws against Hawaii. They haven't really had much success so far, but he has tried to put them into place. And of course, there's that rather infamous video of him saying it's a trap when talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2's loot boxes before they were removed, of course. So obviously, this isn't just like a blanket opinion of the whole of the US, but obviously they are the ESA, and this is their official ruling for the moment, but I just have to say I disagree because, well, it doesn't really matter that you can't turn it into a real thing because your brain is still seeing it as gambling. It is gambling. You're giving money for the hopes of getting X item. Just because it's not a physical item does not change that base fact, at least in my personal opinion. But of course, anyone who's watched this channel for more than 0.5 seconds knows this already. So, that's his update on the ESA. Now, he is right that we shouldn't knee-jerk. I will agree with him there. But that doesn't mean we should just continue as things are. You know, saying, oh, let's just continue to self-regulate. It's worked great for 20 years. And I'm like, yeah, in some ways it has, but in other ways, has it though? Because, like, look at the mobile gaming industry where it's just full of some seriously predatory practices. And obviously some of those are starting to bleed over to AAA space as well. So I'd say, like, look, I don't want the government to get involved, you know, to go heavy-handed and go, you're banned, you get a ban, you get a ban, no, you get a ban. Of course, no one wants that, but, you know, we kind of need some line drawn here, I think. What that line is, we'll have to wait and see. But, let's move on to Apple. So what we have here is that Valve has actually revealed that Apple has rejected the Steam Link iOS app twice. So you might go, wait, hang on, isn't the Steam Link an actual physical device? And yes, it is, but the Steam Link app is a software version of that device. It does pretty much what the Steam Link is designed to do. Lets you stream your games over LAN to your phone or through Apple TV. Now, Valve has designed the app to work with both, but while it has already been released on Android, Apple has apparently put its foot down. And Valve said in a statement, quote, "On Monday, May 7th, Apple approved the Steam Link app for release. On Wednesday, May 19th, Valve released news of the app. The following morning, Apple revoked its approval, citing business conflicts with app guidelines that allegedly had not been realised by the original review team. Valve appealed, explaining the Steam Link app simply functions as a LAN-based remote desktop similar to numerous remote desktop applications already available on the App Store. Ultimately, that appeal was denied, leaving the Steam Link app for iOS blocked from release. The team here spent many hours on this product and the approval process, so we're clearly disappointed, but we hope Apple will reconsider in the future." Now, I'd love to say to you, here's what Apple means when they say business conflict, but we just don't know. As Valve rightly pointed out, it is essentially a remote desktop app, of which you can already download, as again Valve pointed out, on the iOS store. So I'm not really sure or clear on what Apple is referring to here, and it's pretty clear to me at least, that Valve don't know either. So hopefully they will clarify their position at least, but for the moment, let's move on to SuperData's reports. So what we have here, as I said in the introduction to this video, is a report on the month of April for digital games and how they did. Unsurprisingly, however, Fortnite continues to make all the money in the history of humanity, as it broke its own record in the month of April by bringing in $296 million across console, mobile and PC. And that is insane, as I'm sure you will agree. However, we also saw similar success in the console-specific realm, as console spend was up by 44%, thanks in part to Fortnite, but of course thanks to the mighty God of War, or should I say Dad of Boy. And speaking of God of War, it had the largest console exclusive digital launch to date, according to the firm, and Sony's have said that it sold an estimated 2.1 million digital units at launch. Sorry, SuperData have said, should I say, sorry, which is more than double that of Sony's second largest launch, which was Uncharted 4. You may recall that Sony estimated 3.1 million sales just 3 days after the game came out, which is crazy. I mean, the game is wonderful. I'm still playing it at the moment, enjoying it, having a blast. I was skeptical about the game, but I was wrong. What can I say? However, moving on to another digital juggernaut, Grand Theft Auto Online. Unfortunately, we did see a small decline there for the first time in 12 months by 9%. However, overall, we saw worldwide digital spend grow by 23%, with consumers spending $9.9 billion on digital games. This is, of course, across all three platforms, that being mobile, console, and PC. And that is up year over year as well from the 7.42% we reported in April of 2017. But we also have some top 10s on PC and console. So starting off with PC, we've got League of Legends at number 1, Dungeon Fighter at number 2, Crossfire number 3, Fantasy Westward Journey 2, Journey Online 2 should I say, Fortnite Battle Royale, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft, World of Tanks, PUBG and then Counter-Strike Go. On console, however, we saw Fortnite Battle Royale at number 1, then God of War, then FIFA 18, then Call of Duty World War 2, then Far Cry 5, then GTA 5, Rainbow Six Siege, Ghost Recon Wildlands, NBA 2K18, and then Battlefield 1. So all around a banner month for the month of April. So let's move on to our final topic of today, shall we? So what we have here is a device by the name of, or the code name should I say, of Kid, which was discovered in a Chromium OS code commit. Now, allegedly, this is going to be a Chromebook, and it is going to be the very first one to have a quad-core Kaby Lake G processor with Vega graphics. Now, of course, this is pure speculation, but it is still interesting. Now, of course, we should all wait and see to see what Google actually has in store for us, but colour me interested, Google. Now, before I close the video, should I say, there's something I want to talk about that I was torn on whether or not I want to bring up, because, I don't know, doesn't feel right or appropriate, but what other place to talk about it, I guess. Late last night we got some pretty horrible news as a community. I'm sure you all saw the passing of Total Biscuit, or John Bain. Now obviously he was a controversial figure, but he played no small part in me personally trying my hand at this whole YouTube thing. You know, it was far from perfect, but the impact he had on the industry and the good that he tried to do, I feel like cannot be denied. So I wanted to mention him because I think he definitely inspired me to be here. He's not the only reason by any means, but he's definitely part of the reason, a big part of the reason why I thought, you know what, the kind of content I want to do can clearly be successful on YouTube. So here I am, showing my thanks to a man who didn't know I existed, but that doesn't matter. He deserved some airtime here, I think, so sorry to bring the mood down, but I felt like I wanted to say something. So this is my nod and tip of the hat to a gaming legend. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye bye.